For years, the opening cutscene of Genshin Impact has been our foundation, our one absolute truth. Two golden stars streaking across the skies of a war-torn world. It was simple, it was iconic, and it was, we thought, the beginning of our story. We were told the tale of two twins, two descenders who traveled between worlds, arriving in Teyvat like a pair of falling stars. But recent revelations have thrown a wrench into everything we thought we knew. A spaceship, a single, solitary spaceship, crashed and overgrown, revealed in a single line of dialogue that has sent shockwaves through the lore community. So how do we reconcile these two seemingly contradictory ideas? How can there be two flying stars if there's only one spaceship? Did Hoyoverse just clumsily retcon the very first scene of their own game? Or is there a deeper, more elegant timeline that makes everything fit together perfectly? Today, we're going to unravel this mystery. We're going to build a new timeline that not only incorporates the spaceship, but actually uses it to solve one of the biggest plot holes that has plagued the Traveler's backstory from day one. Before we build up the new theory, we have to tear down the old one. For the longest time, the accepted wisdom was that the two stars in the opening cutscene represented the twins arriving in Teyvat. It was a beautiful, poetic image, but it had a massive, gaping flaw that no one could ever satisfactorily explain. If the twins arrived together at the same time as two identical shooting stars, then how on earth did the Abyss Twin manage to live a whole life in Khaenri'ah, witness its destruction, and become a central figure in its history, all while our traveler was, for some unknown reason, taking a nap? It never made sense. This single inconsistency has been the source of countless theories, none of which ever felt quite right. Why would one be awake and the other asleep if they arrived in the exact same manner? The introduction of the spaceship, as jarring as it was, wasn't the thing that broke the timeline. It was the key that finally fixed it. So let's propose a new, cohesive timeline of events that puts all the pieces in their proper place. Step 1. The arrival and the crash. The story doesn't begin with two stars, it begins with one spaceship. The twins arrive at Teyvat aboard their vessel, but something goes wrong. Whether it was an attack, a malfunction, or the strange properties of Teyvat's firmament, the ship crashes. It's damaged, inoperable, and hidden away in some remote corner of the world. Inside, both twins are in a state of stasis or a long slumber, recovering from their journey or the crash itself. This is our new starting point. Step 2. The First Awakening. For reasons we don't yet understand, one twin is awakened before the other. The lore suggests the Abyss Twin was summoned from the ship, perhaps by the sages or scholars of Khaenri'ah who detected this strange otherworldly vessel. They are brought into Khaenri'ah society, they learn about the world of Teyvat from its most advanced godless nation, and they begin to form their own opinions and attachments. Meanwhile, our traveler remains asleep in the dormant vine-covered ship. This immediately solves the plot hole of their separation. They didn't arrive separately, they were awakened separately. Step 3. The Cataclysm and the Reunion. The Cataclysm happens. The gods descend, Khaenri'ah is destroyed, and the world is thrown into chaos. At some point after this apocalyptic event, the Abyss Twin, now with a deep understanding of Teyvat and a profound grudge against Celestia, makes their way back to the crashed ship. Perhaps, as some theories suggest, they were given a key or its location by someone like Dainsley's ancestor. They find the ship and they wake up our traveler. Step 4. The escape attempt. This is the crucial moment. The twins are reunited amidst a world in flames. Their first instinct is to leave, to continue their journey to the next world. But they quickly realize their spaceship is out of commission. It's too damaged or has been dormant for too long. But they are not powerless. They are descenders, beings capable of traversing worlds on their own. So they do the only thing they can. They take flight using their own innate power, their wings of light. And this is the opening cutscene. The two flying stars are not the twins arriving. They are the twins desperately trying to escape. This recontextualization makes much more sense. Look closely at the animation. The stars are flying across Teyvat's sky, not streaking down towards it. Compare it to Skirk's dramatic entry in the chasm, where she descends like a meteor. The twins' movement is lateral, horizontal, the movement of beings trying to escape a planet's atmosphere, not enter it. They are flying around, likely looking for a way out, and they realize they're trapped by the false sky. This isn't just speculation. We have direct evidence from Hoyoverse themselves. In the God's Limits teaser trailer, we see an old woman reading from a storybook. That book clearly illustrates the two golden-haired twins as flying stars being intercepted and stopped from leaving by the sustainer of heavenly principles. The narration explicitly says the ruler of space stopped the golden-haired twins. They weren't stopping them from coming in, they were stopping them from getting out. Eventually, they figure the only possible exit is through Celestia itself. The celestial palace hanging in the sky. So they fly there, and that's when they are caught. The rest, as they say, is history. Now, some might argue that the Traveler tells Paimon the story as two falling stars. This is true, but we have to consider the context. The opening cutscene isn't a literal one-to-one recording of what happened. It's a retelling of the past by the Traveler to Paimon. It's an unreliable narration, shaped by the narrator's perspective and their audience's understanding. Think about it from the Traveler's point of view. How do you explain an interstellar dimension-hopping spaceship to a tiny floating fairy who, at the time, had no concept of even basic airships? Explaining what a spaceship is would have been a massive distraction from the important parts of the story. It's far easier and more poetic to use a metaphor she would understand. We were like two shooting stars. It conveys the essence of their otherworldly nature without getting bogged down in complex technological explanations. The Traveler chose a simplified visual representation to explain their past to someone who couldn't possibly comprehend the reality of space travel. While this new timeline elegantly solves a major plot hole, we do have to address the real problem, the execution of the spaceship reveal. Let's be honest, the way it was introduced in the story was extremely jarring. The first mention of it was a casual, offhand remark that the Traveler had already told Paimon about it off-screen. This felt to many players like a clumsy and unsatisfying retcon. It retroactively makes previous conversations feel disjointed and strange. For example, why was the Traveler suddenly so forthcoming with this information to Paimon, yet Dainsleif, who'd spent time with the other twin and lived in a more technologically advanced age, was under the impression the ship was just a meteorite? The reveal lacked proper context. If they had actually written a scene showing the original conversation, a moment where the Traveler makes the conscious decision to trust Paimon with their biggest secret, it would have been a powerful character moment. Instead, by hard dropping the concept into the story as something that already happened, it felt less like a natural story progression and more like the writers patching a hole. But despite the clumsy delivery, the content of the reveal is undeniably brilliant. It fixes the timeline, it adds depth to the opening scene, and it reframes the twins' entire motivation. The story is no longer about two tourists who got mugged on their way out of town. It's the story of two beings whose vessel, their home, their means of travel, their very connection to the outside world was broken, leaving them stranded in a hostile world. So the new, definitive timeline is this. The spaceship is the arrival, the slumber is the separation, the cataclysm is the catalyst, and the two flying stars, that is the escape. That is the moment our story truly began. Not with a gentle arrival, but with a desperate and failed attempt to leave. A moment that resulted in one twin being cast into a deep sleep and the other being sent down a dark path that would lead them to the abyss. The opening of Genshin Impact is not the beginning of a journey, it is the tragic end of one and the start of a long and arduous quest to finally finish what they started all those years ago, to simply go home. But that's my take on this incredible piece of lore. What do you think? Does this new timeline with the spaceship as the arrival and the stars as the escape finally solve the puzzle for you? Or do you have another theory that fits the pieces together even better? I would love to read all of your ideas down in the comments below. And if you enjoy diving this deep into the mysteries of Teyvat, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss the next lore breakdown. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.